Today, I want to tell you a really cool story, how content marketing gave birth to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't know why, but I've never heard this story before. What story? The story about how a simple content marketing assignment produced the legendary story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It was 1939, and Robert L. May was given a simple assignment for the store, Montgomery Ward. Montgomery Ward had been giving away coloring books for Christmas every year, and they were tired of wasting money purchasing books to use. So they came up with an idea. They decided to save money by creating their own coloring books. So May was given the assignment to create a coloring book for the store. It was content to promote the store, in other words, content marketing. But there was one problem. May's wife had gotten cancer and was pretty ill when he started the assignment, but he decided to press on anyway. As he began to think of a story, May said he drew on the memories of his own painfully shy childhood when creating his Rudolph stories. He ended up deciding to make the main character a reindeer because his 4-year-old daughter, Barbara, loved the deer at the zoo. He came up with the idea to use a reindeer, but he couldn't figure out what to call him. He toyed with the idea of naming the reindeer Rollo, and then later Reginald, but he wasn't satisfied with those names. Finally, he decided to use the name Rudolph. And as he wrote the story, he would run parts of the Rudolph poem by Barbara to make sure that they got her approval. He felt like he was really onto something great, but then tragedy struck. His wife died in July 1939. His boss offered to take him off the assignment, but May refused, and he finished the poem in August 1939. What happened next surprised both him and Montgomery Ward. In the first year of publication, shoppers loved the poem so much that 2.4 million copies of Rudolph's story were distributed by Montgomery Ward. World War II began, and restrictions on paper use halted the production of the coloring books. Believe it or not, it wasn't until 1946 when the coloring books could be produced again. And guess what happened when they were produced? This time, 3.6 million copies were distributed to Montgomery Ward shoppers. The story had taken off and begun to have a life of its own. In 1946, May received an offer from a company that wanted to do a spoken word record of the poem. May had one problem. He couldn't give his approval or receive any compensation for it. Why? Because even though he wrote the story, he didn't own the rights to the story. Montgomery Ward held the rights to the poem. But a surprising twist of fate was about to change everything for May. Somewhere around 1946 or early 1947, Sewell Avery, Montgomery Ward's president, gave the copyright rights to the poem to May, free and clear. With that change of luck, May allowed the spoken word version of the poem to be produced, which resulted in big sales success. But the story doesn't end there. In 1947, the head of a small New York publishing company by the name of Harry Album decided to take a chance on the story. He decided he would put out an updated print edition of the Rudolph book. No other publisher wanted anything to do with the story because they thought the millions of copies that were already given away would hurt sales. Album had a hunch that it wouldn't matter, and guess what? He was right. It became a bestseller. But there's one more part of the story you need to hear. It's another case of rejection that led to surprising results. You see, in 1948, a guy named Johnny Marks, who just happened to be May's brother-in-law, wrote a song adaptation of the Rudolph story. The song ended up being turned down by many of the popular singers of that day. It was turned down by people like Bing Crosby and Dinah Shore. Finally, the singing cowboy, Gene Autry, who had already recorded the song Here Comes Santa Claus the year before, finally agreed to record it. It was a choice that would immortalize both the song and the story forever. The song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was released in 1949 and became such a huge success that it ended up selling more records than any other Christmas song, with the exception of White Christmas. So the next time you're wondering if content marketing is just a fad that will go away, remember the most famous reindeer of them all and realize that content marketing has been around for a long time and will continue to be.